Oh yes, and welcome to another edition of the
Awakening.
Yes. Africa Know Your History. As we have in our studio our special guest this evening, Baba Folami. Folami. Okay. All right. Erin. Erin. Yes. All right. Okay. So we have it correct now. And we have Brother Shabazz. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good evening to Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening, world. Good evening, WAP. This is my first time here. And Ellsworth is always good to be where you are because things will be going good where you are. Shabazz, thanks for bringing me down. Kenny Phillips, thanks for inviting me. The whole world, the whole universe. Well, listen to the next hour and a half.
Yes.
We have news for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, it's been quite a while. I know you back in the time when you were an officer.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. I came to San Fernando on the 8th of September 1965.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Tableland, I went to Moruga, I went to just outside of San Fernando here.
Mm-hmm. Marbella?
No. I used to work at Marbella in the old days.
Right.
Marbella House, but that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's nearly 50 years ago.
Well,
so
time
after one time.
But you're still looking like no time.
Well,
that's important.
Yeah. When you reach a certain level of understanding, you know how to put things in order.
Yes.
You know how to put things in order. And thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Yes.
Back in San Fernando. To all my family in the Southland, all in Moruga, all in Princestown and Tableland and all those places. All the blessings. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, today I want to first to touch on a couple of points that one of them is how did we get to this point in our time today, in the times that we are living in now and the condition we are in as Trinbagonian Africans and Africans in the diaspora. The other point we want to deal with is our cultural habits. And we will go along there, but these are some of the points. The barrel children was something we started and never really take it to another point. Spirituality, economics, the blame game, responsibility. These are some of the things that I want us to address today, and we'll try to see how much we can get through on this point because we have a lot to do, a lot of work to do. And we want to thank again the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism. Ken and I start this journey, and we want to see some results come out of it at the end of the day. So what I want is to say, from a people who had everything, how did we reach to the point today, this point that today we are regarded as the people who so far behind in economics, in the way we live, the way we handle our families? How do we
education and all.
Education,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a game.
Well,
a game played with our heads.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as you see it. It's an illusion. They're putting you in a hole. And if you accept it, well, then you're in the hole. But otherwise, you check it out and see if what they're saying is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, reverse that thought process.
Because
it's a game that they're playing with our heads. Mm-hmm. We have given everything to everybody. And now they are saying, well, we don't have no need for them no more. But that's a mistake they're making. This is a spiritual world. And all the manifestations and all the material thing is just illusions.
Mm.
So we need to go back and deal with our spiritual self. And that's it, because we have already given them all that they need to exist.
Mm.
We need to take it now to the other level of existence. And that's what we are doing. But then the man who looking on the material plane could never see that. So don't fall for that trap. That's a trap. A trap they have set, and some of us have really fell into it.
Mm.
But for those who haven't, there's a whole world outside here that we need to recreate and create and keep on, because we are the ones who create, nobody else.
Okay.
So we in this course, moving on to another level, and everybody thinking, well, no. We move into it's as how David put it, out of the mud and slush, we created, and out of the mud and slush, every Juve morning and it's mud and slush, but the creation comes after. Come back into on Carnival Tuesday. Come in Monday evening, you will see some of it, but by Tuesday, you see the reality of what is Carnival. The same applies with what is happening at this time.
Well, and while I understand the direction you are going in, it still don't answer the question. As we as a people today, economics, education, spirituality, to some point, because of the fact that a lot of people are unconscious still about the spirituality, right, and the direction they should be going in. But where are we today in terms of the crime situation that is being manifested and created by conditions, right? So these are the things we must address. And I don't want us to go back and say, them people and we. We're responsible for our action and our growth. Straight up.
If you had control. If you had control.
But you relinquish control.
Wait. No, if you never relinquish anything. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Talk to me.
We would bit by bit reach back to where we're supposed to be. Because of the conditions over the last 3,000 years, and particularly the last 500, and in the last 100 years, 50-something years ago, the whole world was in transition. Mm-hmm. World War II finished. Where we going? Where the whole world going? So, all right, we're going to release all these people we had in bondage. Okay? We're going to release them. But we need them because we've created a slave society. How are we going to get out of the cycle of debt and depression and all the other things that they have done to us? How are we going to get out of it? So we need to go back to our source of being to get out of it. In the meantime, what they planned for us is still active, but we are working our way. Okay? So I hope that we will understand that the crime is there, yes. But there's only a few people in the crime business. Why are you only focusing on the crime when it's just a few in the crime? What about the 99.99% who not in the crime? You notice they don't talk about them at all?
But why
so we
is
get
it?
tied up in the crime talk, and we get tied up in all the negative talk, and we are not looking at what else is happening in society, and plenty is happening right before your eyes and you're not seeing it.
Why is it that we see a resurgence of African wantness? People want to get back to African and Africanness, but it's only happening with the more elder folks. The younger folks, the message seems to not be trickling down to them fast enough.
We have to re-educate. You couldn't get a job 100 years ago unless you change your name, right? Mm-hmm. You couldn't go to school. You had to change your name to go to school. You couldn't practice your religion. Your tradition, because we don't have religions in Africa. And the reason for that was that is to take everything you have away from you. So for those who fought, the few who fought, to maintain sanity. Pan-African movement, Sylvester Williams. Garvey, when Williams died, Garvey picked it up with his UNIA. Okay? Trinidad and Tobago was one of the most important groupings within the UNIA worldwide. We had more groups in Trinidad and even Jamaica that Garvey came from. Okay, we go on now to Eric Williams and C.L.R. James and George Padmore, helping to change the world. These Trinidadians helping in the forefront of Pan-Africanism. 1900, the first Pan-African conference by Williams, a Trinidadian in London, asking where is Africa going, and we still asking where is Africa going. 11 or 12 million square miles of Africa, we're talking about the second largest continent. Where is it going? Look back from March 19 March 1956, when Nkrumah got independence in Ghana, till today, and see how far we have come in about 60 years, and where we are going to go in the next 60 years. So the plan is to re-educate some of the elders who are willing to accept the education and educate the young ones. So in the next 2 generations, we would appreciate and understand what is the fullness of our worldview and where it's going to take us. What is our worldview? Our worldview is that each individual must become like the spirit that he walks with. Mm-hmm. Only when we get there, we see the whole picture. Otherwise, we'll be seeing a quarter of the picture, 10% of the picture, 5% of the picture, 1% of the picture. But the one who understands his worldview would see the 360 degrees of this. And it would take a few more generations for it to manifest itself.
So, if I am to understand you correctly, Africans in themselves are the ones doing the holding. They are the ones that are putting the restraints on themselves. Because if I watch a documentary, I'll read about the Wright brothers. Mm-hmm. I'll read about every white man, even if he invented the paperclip or Velcro. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to black people's invention and their talents, it's not showcased at all.
Why would I showcase you if my intention is to keep you a slave? Why would I showcase you? Okay, we would not be here if electricity wasn't domesticated by an African. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have telecommunications if it wasn't created by an African. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the school system doesn't teach it.
Right.
And if you try to teach it here in Trinidad and Tobago in a particular way, so it's left to the parents to teach it home, it means that we'll be out of sync with what the European world is saying. Because they are saying that Graham Bell invented the telephone when they know it's not a fact. Mm-hmm. But they don't mind lying to maintain white supremacy. So it's up to us to teach our children the truth. And the truth, as they say, would always set you free. So there's the dichotomy in the situation is that the system wasn't made for you to control. It was made for you to be a cog within the system. So for you to reach the stage where you're going to step out of being under control by somebody else, you have to re-educate all your people in your traditional ways and in your understanding of this universe as opposed to somebody else's understanding of this universe.
But while I understand that what you just said, it could bring me back to the point that was just asked by Ken. Mm-hmm. Aren't we responsible for part of the damage that is happening now? Because we awaken and we understand and we have all that enlightenment that we know all the great inventors and who invented what. Mm-hmm. But yet still, we aren't moving forward because we are holding ourselves back. I am not going to talk about them people holding me back, because them people can't hold me back.
Yeah, but what Baba Folami
whoever out there, they can't hold me back.
I feel your question make me feel you ain't getting what you're saying. Hold on. But before I go into that, I want to tell you, this is about the 5th time I come in here. Next time I come, this is a big studio. This is one of the greatest ones. Have better chairs so we can sit down on that. Tell your boss, we want better chairs. I can't.
Kenny, send a message.
Every time I come in here, I slipping off a chair, all kind of thing. Look, you in your studio, I have to stand up and give you the 2 chairs. That shouldn't happen.
Well,
I'm just telling you and I'm talking it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because I can't take this again. I hope it go improve. Because only can't stand up as a union to get better conditions in all your
They're marching in some
So talk to them about that. Now, here the point I'm making. Mm-hmm. You know, I listened to Baba Folami there. And he even wake me up. Mm-hmm. He wake me up to realize I know it's a plan. But I just try to say what you're saying. We supposed to bring ourselves out of this. But that we bringing ourselves out of this is also a fight. Let me explain to you why. Have you ever stopped?
Go ahead.
Have you ever stopped to think? Take Trinidad and Tobago. All the East Indians in this country who fighting for East Indians, Satmaraj, Anil Ramlogan, Prakash Ramada, Devant Maraj, call all of them.
The Prime Minister.
All of them who fighting for East Indian, get elevated by East Indian pushing them forward. So although you might say Sat is a racist, Sat will get awards and promotion as far. Although you might say Devant is a racist, Devant will become a minister and get other things. No. The Chinese community, the East Indian community, they promote the whites who standing up and fighting for them. When there's an African fighting for African, it's African who saying don't study. I tell our brothers of mine, I'm going with brother Baba Folami. I say Baba Folami in Richard, but as a priest he should be. They were priests, them is hustlers. Because we always finding ways to fight down a man. Now let me explain to you. When I look at it on the worldwide level, you know who is the most successful people in the world? The people who fought for the race, Nelson Mandela, fight for the people and reach to the highest. Martin Luther King, fight for the people and reach to the highest. Mahatma Gandhi, fight for the people and reach to the highest. Malcolm X, Sai Baba.
A whole lot of people.
So why it is in Trinidad and in the what they call third world countries, when you fighting for your people, because I feel any pain, I am a fighter for African people. And when they look at what? As Baba tell you, they're looking at you here. They're looking at where you live. They're looking at where's your education. And they're not seeing where your heart is or where your spirit is. Because, as he has just explained in the beginning, we live in a material world that we don't create. And well, for us to create a proper world for our children and for our next generation, we have to come in the world of the spirit.
But Brother Shabazz, I always say that I with you, you know. But aren't we now saying the same thing that I was just saying? Reverse racism against ourselves. We are the ones supposed to help to bring one another out and lift one another up. You just said the successful African is in Trinidad and Tobago are the ones who try to hold back others.
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say it directly, but that is exactly what you're saying.
I never said that. I said those who fight for the Africans are fought down. Because, and that shouldn't be how it is. So, but I want to tell you something. When they say reverse racism, Gary Cudnon has always make a point to me. It has some of us who was never slaves, you know. It has some of us, they didn't put on that. I don't see no racism where I concern, you know. Because I know my race. So I don't feel no how to talk about my race.
Prejudice.
I don't see no racism. Because when I talk about me with love and with pride. Just as how Satan them probably just talk about himself. I don't see race. Now the next fella who ain't believe in himself, who ain't have a self-esteem, a power about himself.
Push him about.
When he even say the word African, he feel he talking race. When he say, no, and I explained that to you in a program here. It had two sets away. We are the only people who leave our motherland and became two people. We became Negroes, who are those who believe in the teaching of the ancestors, of the master, or we remain Africans like me, who believe in the teachings of the ancestors. So all what we say in here, you know what I learned this morning from this discussion? The first thing we have to do is have discussions like this.
Open discussion.
Communication.
Yes.
Because communication, I told you, is what they take from us in the beginning. No two slaves who spoke the same language could go to the same plantation.
All right.
And we don't have message. The only reason why we only have one radio station is because when they find out the music was a form of communication, they take it out.
That too.
So you have to get credit to this radio station. But not only for the music, but for the ability to start the discourse. To start the discussion. Because there's a problem too, you know. Somebody might ring in and say, boy, you see the show here, boy. There's too much African talk, boy. And we you want me to sponsor. And that kind of thing. And then we come back and pressure.
That's how they close it down.
So I had to give them credit for starting the discourse. How far it go. But remember, if you only, how much sessions you had already? 5?
3.
They go call Gypsy just
now and
tell them that's enough.
If you had 7, you step the thing 7 points up. Don't feel you're lost if you ain't get it no more. You take the thing 7 points further.
But this is not going to stop it.
That is what Baba Folami is showing here. Our direction is based on our thought. If we feel that we ain't going nowhere, that we children and good, that we ain't going. We have to reverse. No, every negative thought is a down payment of failure. It's only when we move in the positive, our destination is the high star. We have to start to talk good about ourselves. We have to start to love ourselves. When we hear the others talking, we have to,
Let's take a call.
Let's take a call.
Hi, good afternoon, 90.1.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, afternoon.
I'm listening. I'm listening. Now, I have a concern about the African leaders themselves. The genocides, the rape of their own peoples, the corruption among the African nations. What are their thoughts on that? Because, women are being raped and mutilated in these African countries when I watch some of these documentaries. The corruption of some of these leaders, they're stacking their wealth in the European countries.
I could answer you a little bit.
Yes.
Let me tell you, they can't tell me that. Although they might be right, the people who looking at that, not looking at India. Wait.
Wait. Oh
God, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Wait. Don't get me wrong.
Go ahead.
The program is Africans.
Know your history. The awakening.
We're not talking about India.
Ah.
Let's talk about the African nations themselves, where they have all the genocide and Tutsis and all these
things. Let him finish now. Let him finish now, Shabazz.
Let us not compare.
I can't take that,
No, I'm not saying I can't take
You go ahead. Let Brother Folami listen to you.
No, what I'm saying is...
We heard what you're saying. And we were just talking...
I want you to have a discussion. I don't want to keep myself on the phone.
Right.
Have a discussion about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want to say, we talking about that so many years. I don't want to talk about that now. I want to change that. And when I look all over the world, I hear they're talking about Hutsi and Tutsi. I look in Bosnia. I look in Europe. I look all over. I look at serial killers. I seen all of that, and they want to talk about that. They want to talk about what.
No, let me take another call.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon.
90.1.
Gentlemen, good
afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yeah.
Blessings to you, my Lord.
Yes. Mr. What's the gentleman's name?
Shabazz?
Which one of them?
Mr. Shabazz Jambo Dugu.
Okay.
Apana Swahili.
Huh?
Apana Swahili.
No, I can tell you.
Right.
Dumelara.
Okay,
for our learning Botswana.
Okay, brother. My brother, when I heard this gentleman just talked about the way African people raping their people and doing all these sort of things. I am an ex-soldier, an ex-British soldier. Has any of these people or people ever thought there were 2 world wars, white on white?
I just talk about it. 3, not 2.
You understand?
1,000 years war before these 2.
Yeah. Have they ever, I didn't hear you mention it. Thanks for mentioning it. But when I stand up and I hear black people saying about how black people in Africa, this and that, killing their people. Kosovo, in Slovenia. Have they heard?
Montenegro,
have they heard? Are they reading the press? Are they aware of what went on? Huh? Are they aware? Was it black people?
It is fed in a different way, you see.
But you see, what it is, when there is uprising among whites, it is called, help me, nationalism.
Yes.
And among black people is tribalism. You understand? And this is why I'm the person who I am. I tell you why I become who I am. I fought my brothers Jomo Kenyatta and the Mau Mau. Right? I was recruited into the army at a national service. And I made it a career. Because the money was so small as I recruited personnel, then I signed on 37 shillings a week by comparison to £4.10 shillings. That was big money. But I finished up fighting my own brothers in Africa. And then later on, it dawned on me. When Rhodesia came on, Ian Smith declared UDI. And I was stationed in Belgium then, and we were on standby. And I said to my platoon, We got to train for this, but we will not be, that's confidential, we're not going anywhere, we won't be going anywhere. True as day we stood down. Do you know why we never went to Rhodesia?
Who you were going to kill in Rhodesia?
Too many kid and kin will be killed. 6 months on, how many of you Caribbean people know that Anguilla was invaded by the British?
And brother, I want you to hear this. You talk about white and white.
Yeah.
I could tell them about Afghanistan and the Libyans.
Right.
And I could tell them about Pakistan and how
No,
they
he
killing
shouldn't.
one another. I could tell them about what is
He
happening.
doesn't know
A
anything
woman,
about
a woman make a child,
1947.
and she think a woman get raped, she could get killed in Pakistan and
Tell
India.
them. Tell them.
Stone
we are not
to
the
them.
world.
Them
And
trying
what
to make
bothers
me feel, yes, it's
I
people
tell you what
dealing
bothers me
with-
most of all. In Trinidad, it's something wrong about the Trinbagonians. The African man terrified to be called African. They terrified to say he's black. He's terrified. Everybody talk about the heritage, but we are petrified. I'm not African, I'm Trinidadian. You understand?
Foolish.
And this is there was a very prominent man on radio here who people think is an encyclopedia.
Of
It's a-
what?
it's a-
Of ignorance?
It's a man like Morgan Job who telling you there's not African and they don't
Well,
want
if
to
you call
hear
Morgan
that.
Job,
Stop
I'll call
calling
George
somebody.
Umbala Joseph then.
No, we don't go into
Because you
name.
call
Don't
names.
call names. Don't call
Don't call
names.
him no name.
Don't
No
call
name
no
calling
name.
Oh,
him.
but you call Morgan Job.
Yeah, no,
He's
yeah.
telling, and he's
I
telling black
beg
people.
to take that back. sir.
He's telling black people, you are not African. You know why? You know what is the elocution? You go to England and
He's a Jew?
you pay for elocution lessons to tell me you speak proper English. And you know there is no such thing as proper English.
Yeah,
The English language is denoted a bastard language.
it is.
Trevor McDonald done likewise. Married to a black woman, divorced her. Who did he go into? High society. He's speaking Queen's language. We are going nowhere. What bothers me in Trinidad and Tobago, we have got no leadership.
It's not true.
No
It's not true.
leadership in Trinidad and Tobago.
But look, you have leadership speaking right now, and you're not reckoning your side as a leader.
Listen, okay.
You are a leader.
You are a leader. We need you to come out and teach.
What you doing, man?
Listen what I tell you, there's no leadership.
I just hear you talking about the man from where you used to work in the south town, Likanu. We have
Right.
leaders here too,
And
and you are one.
I can say something,
Listen to
Baba.
me. Listen to
Uncle,
me.
let me tell you
say
something.
You're a leader, right?
Uncle,
Listen.
Uncle.
What happened in the south? Which the black man's hotel that was taken away from him? Where is the leadership to say
But
that
Uncle.
is not on?
Uncle, let me tell you something.
sometimes-
We had-
While all
we
of
had-
us
we
looking
had-
for a leader,
we had-
all of us have to become leaders.
Shabazz,
Our people get fed up of me talking
let me try
about
to keep this thing
TJ
in
by
order
the
here.
sea. They get fed up of hearing me talking about TJ by Sea Hotel. And this is why crime could never end. Because if that hotel had belonged to this black man, no Chinese and Indian become the owners of it overnight.
Thank
over
you,
my
Uncle.
dead body.
My brother,
Okay,
the
brother.
phone lines
Right.
going here. We thank for your contribution.
Black people doesn't like to hear me speak.
That's
No,
not
she
true.
like to hear you.
Look how
want
much
you to be a
time
teacher.
we give you. Look how much time we give you. Don't say that.
We're
Don't
on
say
a
that.
radio station. We want a number.
We
Call
want
and
other
give you a
people to
number
call in too and
so we
give the
can
views.
contact
Guys,
you.
they've got it.
All right.
You've got
okay.
it right there.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We have to try to
Take care.
keep it shorter, callers, because we have a lot of people trying to get in here.
Hello,
Hi,
good
good day,
afternoon.
90.1.
Hello?
Hello,
Hi,
yes,
good day,
you're
live.
Hi, this is Ellsworth James, right?
Yes.
Or one of you, anyway.
Among others.
One of us. Yes. Go ahead.
Hi, it's Dwight Gordon phoning.
Hey, Dwight, how you going, man?
Okay, thanks. What about you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you have some contribution to make to the discourse here.
Yeah. Would you want me to talk about some particular, like black inventions or Afrocentric values or issues of self-esteem in the black community or African community or what?
Well,
Whatever you feel to, whatever part of the topic you feel you could make a contribution, go right ahead.
what I wanted to say though, Dwight, is that I don't know if you was listening to what was happening, what we were saying before, and if you can join in that part of it, because we're talking about the condition, our condition as African people, how we get here, how we get to this point today, and this is what we're talking about, and there are many discussion around it.
Yeah, I didn't hear that part.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, like, I think, there are a number of issues that are involved, like, lack of unity. I think, that one is, well known.
Mm-hmm.
Too much, disrespect. Not enough pride in, in the black community. Like, even, like, I guess, about the way I talk about the issue of, like, internalized racism. Like, the way, like, some, like, people in the African diaspora call others, like the N-word, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so, that there's not enough pride, in the community, regarding, like, the people, their worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, so, that there's one, like, issue that needs to be dealt with. And, like, more pride in, how people look as, blacks. Like, don't have something against someone who's dark.
Mm-hmm.
And, a black person who's, light-skinned, don't see them as more worthy because, they're light-skinned.
Well, you know where that came from. That's the order that they laid down. The conqueror ordered it, and he's still, in a sense, in charge militarily. Because if you stand up against him, as Gaddafi is doing right now, they would get together and bomb Gaddafi into daylight. They would get together and walk in Iraq on a lie and mash up the people country. They would get together and walk in Afghanistan and have Afghanistan under wraps for 10 years, killing people from the sky, and nobody says anything about it. So understand it's going to be maintained until that is changed.
Like Grenada.
Okay? Or like Panama. You follow? Thousands of people were killed in Panama, and it was just covered over. And the man who was in charge of the whole program was so-called African, in inverted commas. So we must understand. And then the media maintains this idea, and disproportionately as regards to the good things happening in the world, the things that should not be on the manifest for more than once is on the manifest every quarter, every half an hour there is news, and people just regurgitate news from Europe and Reuters and all these other people without even questioning it. And I think it's wrong in our media. 30-something radio station just regurgitating news from the North Pole. It must stop.
They're telling you about a duck that drowned in a pool in Europe, and they don't know what's happening in Trinidad until they give in a proper way.
And you give a man 6 years for killing a cat, and the vagrants living on the side of the street, and nobody want to pick up the vagrants and deal with them. So understand where we're getting this mindset from. White right, yellow okay, brown stick around, but black, you better stay in the back or else we'll kill you. Understand that. And it has been ingrained for 1,500 years. Or perhaps 3,000 years. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have our ongoing work doing. And we're not going to stop. We have to continue doing what we're doing. I'm not going to regurgitate the amount of things that we've invented. I'm not going to regurgitate. I'm going to take us to another level. This is a spiritual war. And nobody is claiming there's juice unity between Jehovah Witness, Roman Catholic, Anglican, Seventh-day Adventist. They have this unity too. But as you wish Africans, you think we have this unity? I don't think so. I don't think we have it to the extent of some other people. But I think it's more in the press than other people's disunity. Why? Because they must maintain a certain status quo for us in the society. So we need to look at it. And we need to look at it clearly. We need to stop buying papers for a little while too.
But isn't the United Nations kind of helping that kind of mindset? Because when they take pictures of Africa, they only take the poor child, the one who malnutrition.
But this is part of maintaining the superiority. So when you always see some child with some fly in the nose, or the child crying, who you think have them hungry? The same United Nations and the countries that support have the child hungry in Africa.
Let me give you
but
one
isn't
example.
The same United Nations who declare this is the year of
and what's the first thing happen? war in Algeria, war in Libya, war in all the countries in North Africa. Some people didn't even know these countries was in Africa. It was now that it happened. Wait now. These countries from Africa, it was the Middle East all the time. Any Arab country, they think is in the Middle East.
It's true.
So all that kind of misinformation.
Yeah. And you know the point I want to make? Something I always look at over the years. They go in and set up war and they set up bombing mines that lick off people's feet, mash up people, make
Mozambique,
people.
Angola,
and you know
Africa.
they're the same people who coming back to give people legs.
They're making artificial legs and hands.
No, this is
they make a business of
this
it.
Is serious. This is serious.
Everything is a business. Slavery was a business. The enslavement of the African was a business. They never would tell you that it was for him to teach them how to live as human beings. Because they talk about civilization, the most uncivilized people we've come across.
Yes.
You understand? Because if you civilize, how come everywhere you go to kill the people out?
Gentlemen, the phone line burning up here.
You know?
Yes.
So the history needs to be put on back in order.
Dwight.
Yes?
You have any other contribution you want to make to the discourse here? Along where we're going ahead here, dear?
As you're talking about, like, I guess, colonial or Western powers, like in Africa.
Uh-huh.
Like, ever notice the way, like the French forces, they go to Rwanda.
Cote d'Ivoire?
Yes.
Yeah, right now in Cote d'Ivoire because they find oil, so they have the people fighting against each other. They find diamonds in Liberia, they make the people kill one another for the diamonds.
And could I tell you this again?
And you find oil in Nigeria, and BP was putting, whoever here is president of Nigeria, BP was putting them to sit there. And BP was putting the money in Switzerland in the bank for him. He wasn't putting the money in the bank in Switzerland. And so understand what it is we're dealing with.
One main point, hear this point. Anyway, to a war in Africa is a rich country. It's where the white boy bringing guns for
Somalia.
one set and give an next set so that he could carry out all the gold and all the oil and all the everything. It's no place in Africa that is war, that is not rich. Think about the biggest rich place in Africa, the Congo. War going on there all the time because they're maintaining the war.
Since Lumumba.
They do it in Angola. For all the riches, all the diamonds. Yeah, they had a man named 7B taking all a rebel group, fighting. Well, he there now, and it's so they keep the war going.
Place and keep the war going on. Send the arms because we not making no arms. No African country makes arms.
Although we have all the minerals that making arms and ammunition, we don't have an arms factory.
So this is what we have to deal with.
All right.
If we understand, then the questioning may be different. As I said, this is a spiritual quest. Who is Shango? That's the question needs to be asked. Who is Shango and why we should get to know Shango a little better? What is Ifa and why we should get to know Ifa a little better? So that we could understand each other at a different level. So that we could put the message into the pipeline and everybody would get it. But for the time being, if you're going to remain in everybody else's religion, you would never be able to focus on what you have to do.
But not only if you remain in everybody else's religion. You're building big churches for people. Your Baptist church not building. Your Orisha church not building. You're taking your house and giving it to the church rather than your grandchild. And you're putting your collection, your tithes, and the things that you have to do. You're not putting it into your thing. You know why? Because you feel by putting it in these churches, you're buying a space in heaven for yourself.
All right. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
What do you think about the idea that if, like the African ethnic groups, the African countries and perhaps their capital cities, and as well as the African values, Afrocentric values, what do you think of that, if more, blacks knew about that, it could, like give them more pride and more interest in African issues and what Africa is going through and what needs to be done to correct the problems. What do you think of?
We want to get away from this what Africa is going through.
The people stole all the money 2 years ago, and you talking about only what Africa is going through. Is everybody going through right now in Trinidad? We have CLICO and ACU before some committee. They stole all the money. They create the problem worldwide and capsize the economic system. And about every 20 years, they capsize it. They take out the money and they do what they have to do with it. So it's not what Africa is going. It's what the world is going through. It's what they're focusing you on, and we need to move on from that and start to deal with putting our situation first on the pipeline, prioritize our situation as African people.
I have one point to add to that.
My brother just said.
You see the trillionaires? You see the trillionaires of the world?
We need to clear up the line.
Okay, let me just make this final point. The trillionaires of the world, money is based on the gold in Africa.
Okay.
How they coming out with Africa gold and diamond that they building the trillions on the paper.
And I want
paper.
All these things that we're talking about here, I am happy to hear them. But at the end of the day, you just came back home, and that's why I want you to come back. You just come back home here.
We need to clear the line because
we had to clear up because we have a lot of other callers calling in.
Yeah, another time then. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Let's take this call. Hi, good day, 90.1, your life.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Yes, I'm listening to Jesmond. I'm listening to the program. Very interesting. Even continuing from last week with the Tobago land issue.
I want to touch back on that land issue.
Yes.
Thanks for raising it.
Yes. Well, what I want to say is that I don't know. What is our guest name? Baba who?
Folami.
Shabazz and Folami.
All right, I know Shabazz. I'm hearing Baba. He's giving us this information about the Africa, and he's just touched on something there about the language and the religion. And I just want to say this is not personal thing of mine. He's saying it is spiritual, and I believe that it is spiritual. There are some things that you take out from the book, the Bible, they call that the war is not a physical one. It is spiritual, right? Wickedness in high places, and that is so technical. And what we are talking about here, we know that in that whole Bible, you are seeing African countries raising its head in the very Bible. When you check the different countries that is going to be rise and rise again, it is in Africa.
The first country mentioned in the Bible is Ethiopia.
It's in Africa. That's what we are talking about. So we know that there's something there. Going back a little to the Tobago thing, when I went to Tobago in the early 70s, I was amazed and I was so proud, and I started to talk about Tobago. I'm sorry I don't have my poetry here with me. I have a poetry called Wake Up Tobago. And when I looked, I see only African people. Tobago was African. All the businesses is African. They had land, they had food, they had everything. And I came back to Trinidad and I say, if I see Tobago, that's why they have their heritage. When I see what's going on here in the 20th century, where these Europeans come in and just like what they were doing on the reservation, giving you trinkets for your land, which, it hurt me, and that's what when I wrote Wake Up Tobago. I think I'm going to get it and call it on the program sometime.
I would like to read
no
it.
problem.
Thank you, love.
But I just want to say this, concerning this very thing that is going on there. Everything goes back to $1. Everything goes back to the dollar.
Said it.
And everything is connected. It may look like, how we call it, war in Afghanistan, war in
all
Africa,
connected.
Everything
it's one
is
world.
Connected. Yes.
All is connected.
Everything is connected. It is a domino effect. And the one thing is to keep us down. I want to say also, with the same Shango, the language he spoke about and the religion of the Shango, I don't know, but anytime that happens, if I hear
you could find it. It's there. Go on the internet and look it up. Look for Ifa, look for Orisha, and take it from there. And then when the time comes, you'll find someone who will take you to the next level. It's always like that.
But this is what I'm saying. I am connected somewhat. Because anytime you drop a Ella, anytime you drop a Andre Tanka, anytime you drop a David Rhoda, I am just gravitated with the rhythm.
Okay.
I gravitate to them because of the rhythm.
Okay.
And I know
It's not just the rhythm, it's the DNA.
Well, I know what it is.
It's millions of years of DNA and being there in your system, Sabres.
It is inside of you being
fine.
suppressed.
So it needs to be brought out. So it needs to be brought out.
Exactly.
Okay, so Ella is doing her job.
Right.
Shabazz and Ellsworth and myself, we are doing our job.
Right.
We need to educate. Gary Cordner is here. He sang Shango years ago. Ken here. Afisha, beautiful story about the elevation of his daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody here for the last 30-something years, no look. Fine. So this is what this is all about.
This is about
getting... Yes.
Right.
And Afisha grew up to be fine young lady.
Getting to know who you are. I'll give you an insight. A child on its third day, the left foot is taken and placed on the earth and placed on some other stuff. And the chapter and verse that brought that child to earth would be read for the parents. That child would be given its name.
Right.
That name that child would be given would be to call the universe to order whenever that name is called.
Right.
Fine, we go further. If that child was born to be a priest or born to be whatever it is, it would come up in the Odu. That child, parents would know that child must never wear red clothes or black clothes, or must not eat yam, or must not eat the hog, or must not eat cow, and all these things. So this child will not be sick for life because they're feeding the child poison every day with chicken.
Right, everything that is
against the child's growth.
Yes.
And we go in everybody church so they could christen your child, and none of them can tell you that.
Right.
What the child should and should not do. The child must not go in the sea. The child must not bathe in a river. And this child loves water.
Right.
Water is really the antidote. So that's why the child shouldn't go in the river.
Exactly.
And you don't know because you don't practice your tradition.
Exactly. And that has been taken away from you. The tradition has been...
This is the reason for taking it away, so you wouldn't know the truth.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And the truth is, we are the nation that rules.
I want to make
that has power, and because of that, they keep suppressing you and try to brainwash you.
Thank you very much.
But I want to make two quick points. The two quick points I want to make is one, the fact that we talk about you see where everybody started to change the name to African name, where instead of calling a man John Doe and you don't know what it means, a fella now know his name means Shabazz, one that is appreciated, and we give our children that. But I want to make a point that Baba just make about Afisha. Afisha grew up here in a song, but she was so good.
Elevating.
Afisha couldn't go up to be anything else but good.
Not a song, an Oriki. We must start using our words. An Oriki, which symbolizes our existence on the face of the earth.
And the love she gets.
Yes, like Oriki Ogun, or Oriki Oshun, or Oriki Obatala, or Oriki Shango, or Oriki, whichever Orisha, Yamoja, or whoever. So we must go back to who we are for us to move forward.
Exactly.
What's your name? Who gave it to you? A man says he's a priest. Who make you a priest?
Right.
Who's your spiritual father?
Yeah.
Who's your spiritual mother? Where's your lineage? Who's your lineage? To what lineage you belong? Tell me. And if you can't tell me, well then you're on your way to doom.
You mimic.
You're mimicking somebody else, something.
Yeah.
And this is where we need to get African people to start to think. They need to. I come out in the road and see people sign up selling some magazine for somebody. What is that giving to you? Nothing. Because I'm saying all the spiritual information that is documented is over 20,000 years old. Whether in the Gita, it didn't come from the Indian people. It came from the Africans living in India.
African is the origin.
It didn't come from the Roman. It didn't come from the Greek. They don't know anything about what they wrote. They wrote down what they saw written by Africans or what Africans told them. None of the documentation in the Gita or the Bible or the Quran comes from the people who walking about with it and telling it to the world.
Yeah.
Another thing that I have to say is that the symbols that we use across in Christianity does not belong to no Christian people. Okay? The swastika does not belong to the Indian people. the triangle on the top of the Hindu temple, it does not belong to the Hindu people. It walk out Africa.
Yeah, everything came from there.
You understand? And there is only one tradition.
Yeah.
What has happened is that people have been left in areas and they've forgotten who they are and where they come from. But all the roads lead back to Africa. Because that is the source of information, the source of all documented. They say African people don't have any right. It's the most stupid thing you could ever hear.
One of the greatest
I have 256 letters in an alphabet here that nobody knows about.
But one of the greatest East Indian teachers of modern time was
You're welcome.
called Sai Baba.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, he's a East Indian teacher.
Called Sai Baba was one of the greatest teachers.
You see, it's lack of information. You know, lack of information. The man say they shouldn't have the cross on something or the other and Trinity cross. Trinity cross?
And that they shouldn't have no...
What Trinity cross? That's the cosmic cross.
Yes.
That's a cosmic cross. That's whenever the sun is directly over the equator. That's the cosmic cross. Equal cross. And that happens every vernal equinox, which is every 20th or 21st of March, somewhere about there. That is why they have Pagua. You understand? That is why the Christian people have Easter. You follow? Because the sun is at the equator. So everything is in harmony and balance, and that happens twice a year. It happens also on the 21st of September. Okay? Otherwise, we just had the 21st of June. So where the sun is at the furthest point north, it's working its way back to the equator at this time. So by September month, the sun will be back here. That's why you have the scales. Equal time night, equal time day. All this trying to fool people with stuff. The people who call themselves Jews say the star is the Star David. That is nonsense. They adopted that in 1896. Go read the Protocols of Zion. It's written. You could go buy it. 1896. The Star David is 1896. They take that from the African people and says them their own. It represents Horus, the northern pole star. It represents at this time Cepheus.
Teach them, teacher.
Cepheus, who would stay in the northern pole for the next 3,700 years. While Neptune or Yomoja would stay at the equator for the next 2,155 years. We sang the song. It's the dawn of our Aquarius here. The mother principle has come back to the fore. And they know it. But you, the average
African
Trinbagonian, don't know it. Don't know it. And as a result, people tell you all kind of nonsense. So I say, since you don't like African people, remove the triangle from on top of your Hindu temple. Tell me how you're responding to that. It doesn't come from you. It walk out of Africa. It's an African symbol. 500 feet long. Multiply the height by 9 by 10 to the 9th arm, and it will tell you where's the distance from the earth to the sun. Don't tell me you don't know. Good? So you adopt it and behaving like it's yours, and then you're disrespecting African people. Remove it, and let's see what will happen. I get into serious?
No.
Teach them, teacher. We are radio station for you whole day.
Listen to what I'm saying. This program is to educate, inform, and edutain. But I will take out the edutain for now. You understand?
Okay. We can entertain too. You can play Ella for me, and I will like that. I will like some Ella.
So the thing about it is that we're trying to get reasoning and get people more aware of what's happening around us.
We have a caller. Hi, good afternoon. 90.1, you're live.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, this program is so elated. Some of the things are hearing for the first time. For listening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the comment.
I love you. And that's what we need among us, more listeners.
Hear what I need.
Listening is a science.
Hear what I need people to do. I need people to go into the bookstore, whether it's African World Books or my partner Carl, who had his bookstore here in San Fernando. And the first book to buy is Goddess Black Woman. second book. As I say, yeah, women self-empowerment. I'm not going into the traditions. I'm just giving you information. African Genesis by Barashango. Black Man in the Nile by Ben Buchanan. African Origin of Western Civilization. African Origin of Major Western Religions, Ben Buchanan. And then pick up one called Egyptian Yoga.
These are books.
When you go through these books, it's about 6 or 7, and we go and you have read these books, then maybe we can have a discussion. We can have a discussion about where we're going, because it would have clarified some information in your head as regards to your existence, why you on this planet, how long we've been here. In the last 400,000 years, the African woman who created all the beings who live on the planet Earth, 400,000 years ago, she set foot on the planet Earth. And as a result, they say mitochondrial DNA says that all of us who live on the planet are at least 50th cousins, and all of us are the child of a woman who lived in South Central Africa about 400,000 years ago. Now they know it, and we must know it too. And we must understand that the rituals and the rites of your ancestors is the only thing that can save you. Nobody and no cross can save you, because you don't understand what that means.
True.
What does it mean? What does they say Calvary? What does it mean? Well, come home to your tradition and you'll find out what it means. It's not difficult. It's not hard. We have a Iwaju system. Some people call it a chakra system, but we want you to take it from our perspective.
Hold your thought for a sec. Let's take this call.
Hi, good afternoon, 90.1.
Good afternoon, good show. What I'm going to would there be a follow-up to this show?
Well, of course it has to have follow-up.
Okay, where the East Indian indentured laborers has worked hard to build this country.
We know that too, but we work harder. We clear the place so you could come to work.
Yeah. I just asked a simple question. Would there be a follow-up where the East Indian indentured laborers has worked hard?
Go get that and
but you have 19 stations.
19
you have
stations.
19 or 20 stations.
You're doing that every day.
So we talking about Africans.
You have 4 TV stations. 19 stations.
I asked a simple question. Would there be a follow-up?
On this
Always.
station? On this station?
Yes.
Well, when you give me the follow-up here,
yes.
we want some follow-up on the East Indian station.
Explain it correctly.
You give me some follow-up?
When you say this station, what do you mean by that?
We will have a follow-up, sir.
Okay, when you say this station, it kind of confuse me now.
No, you confused me in the beginning.
I'm looking for a follow-up on the East Indian station for this program. They should take this over.
Okay.
That is what should happen.
So what are you saying? Station for station kind of way?
No, not that.
We're
talking about the imbalance and inequality.
You doing it talking, Eddie?
You call to argue, sir.
No.
Sir, I just answer you. We would have a follow-up because it's a lot of information. It's have a lot of information to be given out.
Okay.
And we would have follow-up on many issues that we all need to know about.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right.
You see the sidetracking? We always get the sidetracking.
He's a noise spirit.
So I want to let you know about
just hold that again. Hi, good day, 90.1.
Yes, good day, 90.1, gentlemen.
Peace and blessings to you.
Dancer boy, blessings.
Yes, Dancer boy here. See, it's amazing that this brother should call, but that's what happens. Once we start talking black, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
See, I go through that problem right here in Ocala. Because when we start talking, and I try to tell them, I say, listen, being pro-black doesn't mean anti-white. They see things in dichotomy.
Anti-Indian.
Right, no. Malcolm X said, you know, if a man play a piano, he's a pianist.
Mm-hmm.
When he stops. If he play a sax, he's a saxist. If I'm a racist, it just means I like my race.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing wrong with liking your race and promoting your race.
I don't see anything with it. But not in when you're doing it to downgrade somebody else.
Yes.
Right.
We do not uplift
because
ourselves.
I have a way of saying that the African have 500 genomes, the European has 150, and the East Indian have 50. You understand what we're talking about? The original people of the earth have 500 genomes that make the body manifest in a particular way. The European has 150. The East Indian has 50. You follow?
Yeah,
so this is information that the world doesn't know about.
Okay. But you see, I will make a quick statement and I will let you go because you see, I have my blood brother is in the Pentecostal, and I get a lot of flack from a lot of people in religion, and I ask them, what color is Jesus Christ? And they give me a whole, well, it's not important. It's never important. A few years ago, about 15, 20 years ago.
But they know he's black too.
But in about 15, 20 years ago, they tried to portray Jesus Christ as a black man in Superstar Jesus Christ. And those white folks almost burned the theater down in New Jersey. But as we ask the question, it's like, it's not important. It is important.
It is important to know that the Christ story is a corruption of ancient Egyptian story of Ru. So go and look for the book on Osiris and the book of Ru, and you would find out where the Christ story comes from. There was never anybody named Christ, and there was never anybody named Jesus. It's a trick. It's one of the same tricks they've been playing on us. You understand? If you go back 2,000 years and find out if it had somebody named Christ. No. Christ is a concept, not an individual. And always remember that. And if you understood that, then you wouldn't get tied up in the Christ story and tied up in the Christian story. You follow?
Okay.
So,
thank you, caller.
I love what the direction we go in, because a lot of information is coming out, and the good thing about it is that we record our programs, so we can go back in the archives and see exactly where we are.
I could give you something right now. Yeah. Listen to this. Let me tell you how the North Africans set up the system. And I'll give you how the yoga people set up the system, because the yoga does not come from India. Yoga is an original African process. Okay. The Netta, meaning Natya, Brahman. 2, Mat, the cosmic order. Mahat, the cosmic mind. Lotus, 1,000. Lotus, 1,000. Horus, Krishna, Buddha. Osar and Isis, Shiva, Parvati. The sacred cow of the Egyptian, Taurus the bull, becomes the sacred cow. Tahuti becomes Tat in India. The eyes of Horus becomes the eyes of Krishna in India. The Ankh, what we wear, becomes the symbol. The black dot becomes the Bindu. The Sahu becomes the soul, becomes the Sadhu. The Bhutto, the cobra goddess, becomes Bhuta. You understand that? We don't understand that all of that walk out of Africa and went to India.
Let's take a call.
Hi, good afternoon, 90.1.
Pleasant good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Well, lockdown tied on story. But here what I want to find out, what is the first 2 books that one should start off with? As to say, to build the knowledge, because you don't want to be a confused one. So what is the
it can still have a little confusion. It Goddess Black Woman by a guy named Akil.
Goddess Black. Which part we getting that?
You could get that at African World Books. That was on Independence Square. I think it's 60-something Independence Square, African World Book, Port of Spain. Just after 627-2128.
627-2128.
Yes.
All right. Okay,
ask for Ayuka. Or ask for African Genesis.
An African Genesis.
Yes. Ishaka Musa Barashango.
All right. Okay,
yeah.
good.
So we have the bull of Osar and men, and we have the bull of Shiva. You know, where did it come from? Talking about 100,000 years of history. Where did it come from? You talk about the Memphite theology and creation story. You talk about the creation, the laws of Manu. You know? Who is Manu?
And she got cut off.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who is Manu? Monk Manu is in Africa. You understand? So the laws of Manu, the 42 laws of Manu that left Africa, ended up in India. Ended up in China. Ended up in Australia, ended up in Yucatan Peninsula, where some fools say they follow in the Mayan calendar and the world coming to an end.
Let's take our next call. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, brother Muhammad Shabazz.
Assalamu alaikum, beloved.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. How are you?
I'm always fine. Good to hear your voice, Dave.
Right, and Brother Baba.
Baba Erin here, yes. Blessings to you. I heard you this morning.
All right, great, yes.
Yeah, great.
And I just happened to come across the program. This is a very, very powerful program. I mean, Brother Muhammad Shabazz, always one of the most powerful presences on the radio. I'm really impressed. The program is going really, really dynamic. And Brother Baba, you're giving out some very, very strong information.
Yes,
what you said about Jesus is one of the hardest facts to swallow,
for them
probably
to take.
internationally. Yeah.
Go to
But I just want to make one very brief point on that in this society, a lot of people get confused between race pride and race prejudice. Race pride is when you love your own, you want to uplift your own, you want to improve the standard of living and quality of life of your own people, you want to educate your own people, you want to establish institutions for the betterment of your own people. But race prejudice is when you want to pull another people down, when you want to destroy another people, when you want to attack another people, when you want to malign another people. And African people have been known for race pride. We've never focused and concentrated our energies on destroying anyone else or limiting their access to opportunities.
David, the mother and father can't destroy other people.
Exactly.
This is the whole problem. We have been put to be Bama shoes or feet. So you're understanding about wait now, this is my mother and father. And I'm treating my mother and father just like the dirt that I'm walking on. And this is the problem in this society, you know. The mother and father, the people of the world, are African people.
Yeah.
Yes, David.
Yeah. And just one last thing. I mean, obviously, for those who know me, know that I don't go the political direction. However, we have a government minister now who expressed the view that Indian people are more intelligent than African people.
Oh my God.
And the last government knew this. And that is why the last government built the University of Trinidad and Tobago.
You can break it down.
So that more Africans could go to university. Now, if that is that individual's opinion, well, so be it. However, when he takes it a step further to say that the University of Trinidad and Tobago should be closed down for that reason, because more African people are getting the opportunity to get a tertiary-level education, well, that's when it becomes dangerous. That's when it becomes race prejudice, when you identify benefits and opportunities for another race and you want to destroy them for that. And I think
it's the group David is the group who didn't get paid, you know.
Yeah.
And who refused to go to school, who they refused to send to school for 10 generations, you know.
Exactly.
Brother David.
Yeah.
Ellsworth here. Yeah.
Hey, Esmond, how you doing, brother? Good. I didn't realize you're there.
Yes, well, the program, Ken and I run the program here on one. Yes.
Congratulations.
And I definitely want to get you, because we were talking about that. I even asked Shabazz for your number, and you would get it for me, because I want to have you on here one time on the program with us.
Yeah, fantastic. But the program is going really great. The station sounds great. You know, Brother Shabazz, Brother Esmond, James, Brother Baba, keep up the great work. I'm driving to, I just delivered a lecture to men in Carenage, and now I'm driving to Manzanilla to speak of 2011, the year dedicated to people of African descent at the Manzanilla Government Primary School.
And David,
yes,
I want to tell you openly, I love you, and we have work to do still. I'm waiting for you. Either call me, I've been making efforts. We have real work to do, and it's getting greater now.
Yes, absolutely.
I love you, and I'm waiting on your call.
Yeah, love you, Brother Shabazz.
All right, Brother David, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
We've got another caller. Hi, good afternoon, 90.1, you're live.
Hello.
There you go. 90.1.
Hello.
Greetings. Ellsworth, Brother Ken, Brother Shabazz.
Hi, afternoon.
Brother Folami, Uruboye Boshishi.
Peace and Peace and blessings to you.
I do pray. Here, in order for this thing to make sense, there has to be workshops throughout the year that is going to end up having emancipation make sense. Because right now, all emancipation is African costume, like a carnival.
I don't totally agree with you. I do not totally agree with you that emancipation is costumery. No. So those who are in that mode, fine. But it's a stage by stage process that people will develop over time. Do not just relegate it because I put on my chieftaincy clothes and go out too to show the people I'm willing to walk with them. So it's not just costuming. There are those who would appreciate and understand the 21 or the 40 different stages of life as we go along. But please don't relegate it to that for me, please. Okay? It's much more than that.
I accept it, but on the same point, we got to have workshops on what's happening here.
But this is
all the year, because this is powerful.
This is
powerful.
Okay.
Only one thing I would like to see about Emancipation Day. I really do go to Emancipation Day because I can't walk behind the politicians on Emancipation Day.
Okay.
You can walk in front them.
Brother Kali, say hello to Sister Andy for me.
All right, so we're looking at 13 minutes before the hour of 2 o'clock. But on a different footing, as we learn so much history, because I have been given here 2 pages, is very long, of African woman inventors and black inventors.
I want to get that.
And it's quite an impressive list. You know, where do we go from here? Besides educating and re-educating, what is the next step for people of African descent to ensure that we don't use this year to propaganda ourselves, and after the year is done, we forget who we are?
Okay.
Before you go in, Shabazz, because I know we want to do a wrap up on it. But what I want to say this: we wanted to, while we have to find the spiritual grounding, because that will help you to move on to other elevation.
True.
We have to look at the economic side of our condition, and that's something that I want you to touch on.
Well, that's what I was going to touch on, and he's going to wrap up.
Okay, go ahead.
One, the question now is, how do we get from here? What you have seen is the information. We have a lot of information that is not being spread among us as a people. Like, for instance, I was touched when I read that the man who invented blood transfusion got in an accident
and died.
And when they came to the hospital, because he was black, they couldn't give him a transfusion, and he died. And these are the things we ought to know. Now, how do we get to know these things? We have to have means to educate our people about ourselves. There's not sufficient of that. We do have the television and the radio stations to do it, but we must do it. We must bring our children back to reading. There's enough knowledge to be read that they don't know about. There are films all over the world that will tell us so much great things about ourselves. There was a film called, that I grew up knowing, The Learning Experience. You tell me about it, Baba.
I can't remember.
Yeah, a woman who was to do a college. A black woman.
Mary McLaughlin.
Yeah, and she says, I will build that college in a forest, and they laugh at her, and she ended up doing it. If we use the mind power, the among the things we could do, we must learn to believe in ourselves and love ourselves. When people call you to tell you negative things about yourself, you have to push that in a corner, because it has some things ain't good to talk, some things ain't good to see, and it definitely has some things that ain't good to hear. So I don't listen to negative things about me.
But just to expound on that point, in all that you have said there, what are we doing to ensure that that happens? We must do it, but are we really bonding together as a people to ensure that we can see ourselves on the television, we can hear ourselves on the radio?
You see the question you ask? I do ask that question. I don't sit and ask, what are we doing? My question is, what am I doing? And I feel as long as I am doing, as we go along, other forces will join. Today, Brother Folami and I set up something here. David Mohammed, who he and I, to me, I had a little thing with him, but, you know, I want to meet him. We have to talk. Today we talk. So by I doing what I doing, and he doing what he doing, we will do what we are doing. So I'm not looking for the we. Because the looking for the we,
it's about you.
The we is not a reality. The I is we. So I concerned about I doing. And as long as I feel I fill in my space, I good. And while I am filling my space, yeah, brother, like, the reason why I sitting here with both of y'all, because all you filling all your space is good. He, Ellsworth, filling our space, you filling our space. The reason why we here with Brother Folami, he filling our space. The reason why Gary Cordner is here, he filling our space. And as we go along, because I want to tell you this, which you don't know, Gary Cordner and I, with a group of about 2 or 3 others, we sit down and we build up a theory of listening. When we sit in conversation, when one man talking, the next one don't talk, we listen. And when he done talk, then I bring my points up. If he bringing his points up and I cut in, he stop me one time. So we learn to listen because we have found that the art of listening is one way that will carry us forward. Because when we do listen, we come with preconceived notions into the thing. And to finalize it off, everybody, you know why we talking about the system don't like we, and why we fighting against ourselves, and why the government is against we? Because there's not enough I. We always dealing with a we. So by when we deal with a we take the I out of it. I not dealing with no we. I dealing with I. I. What am I doing? And I would like to ask more people to come to the I.
Oh, yes.
As we as Rastafari say to the I and I. It's I. It's not about them. People go tell you, boy, when you're I, you're about you're selfish and you're looking. No. Self first. What am I doing? And you ask yourself the same question. And then when you look at what I am doing, your I, you realize you're doing great things. Your music alone is a great thing that the I is doing. And if you could build on that, how can I take my music as a message to the people to transform some people? And as long as you look at that and what I could do, I am a talker. So how can I use my voice to transform people? That's what I do. And as long as we're not looking at the we, and we look at the I think, no, our next thing is...
Each one to each one.
Yeah, and our final thing is, one of the things we make a mistake here, we don't realize that 90% of the problems we have is because we're not making money, you know. We're drinking water. Imagine we don't have a water factory. We children drinking more than half. We don't have a sweet drink factory. And that leads into poverty. When a little white boy or East Indian boy leaves school now, he could go by Bagua and sing and get a job. A white boy could go by Carib. We have not set up industries to give our children work. So when they start to get frustrated, it's because we didn't do what we're supposed to do. Or, not we didn't do, I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. So we must take it from there. And I give it to Brother Folami because the thing is about I doing what I am supposed to do.
It is always about you. You the one going to be crucified. I want to use that terminology for you, might quicker understand that. In your head, in each chakra, okay? In each chakra coming up through the body, you reach to the third chakra. You reach to where your solar plexus is, okay? And it means you're still living in a physical mode. But when you're able to raise your understanding of this universe, that you could reach to your heart chakra, you're beginning your spiritual elevation of consciousness. And all that it means when they say the person crucified is that person has become into harmony and balance with the cosmic order. It's not that somebody died. Is that a new awakening has come because your eye to see clearly, like when people speaking to you, you're seeing what they're saying, it's running like a ticker tape. That is where you must reach in the understanding of things so that things will be easy for you.
True.
So your pineal gland, which is the key, the black carbon gland at the top of your backbone, the key. When it reaches to the level, it rewires your brain so that both sides of your brain now start to work on one level. You're not overbalanced on the right or overbalanced on the left.
That's the thyroid gland?
Oh?
Thyroid gland?
No. Thyroid is here in the throat. It's speech and perfection of speech.
Is here.
Okay, that is Obatala, perfection of speech. The thyroid gland. Here, that's why whenever you see people Obatala children don't eat properly and think they get a goiter. Okay, that's because of imbalance. But we're talking about the pineal gland or the pineal gland. Okay? And after that one is raised to a particular level, and your thoughts now begin to have wings like what the Rosicrucian people would talk about, then you go to the level where your eye is open. When that eye is open, well, it's very few of us would ever reach the level where the hypothalamus would work at its full capacity. Okay? But when your spiritual eye is open, then you know you're walking and that all the the mundane things don't mean really nothing to you.
That's what they call
this
the
is
third
not
eye.
a mundane world.
That's what they call the
total
third eye.
spirit. The third eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me just say this to you.
So we talking serious talk. That is where it is. It's nowhere else. So forget all the thing about you see the business and things are gonna come. When you become one with self, then you could start to talk about your business and all of that. Because we've laid down all the business in the world for all the people who utilize it.
And Baba, let me say this. You know why I know? If I am where I'm sitting here now, if I fall and die, and my body will be still here, but I won't be here.
Ah, shit.
And that is what we do study. As a people, we're afraid to think about that inner man, that inner spirit. We don't like to think about that. We just get frightened when we think about it. Because we just feel we're going in a crazy world. But not until you could think of that spirit as you are you going somewhere. You see the center of your head? Where it's called your mole? That's your connection with the cosmic.
That's your Ori.
You have to understand that. That's where, like our radio station.
That's your antenna.
Or I could go on this transistor radio that didn't plug in Norway and pick up Venezuela, a radio station. Do you see the center of your head here? That's where you're picking up in the cosmic. A lot of we don't know that. A lot of us not being taught that. All the other races taught about the inner self, you know. We have to start teaching we children about the inner self and we people
That's why they
about
take
the
away
inner
our
self.
traditions. So we can't know what is Ori. Okay, we don't know who is Shango. And we think Shango is the devil, but the only devil is the devil who bring us here.
And I want to
and
tell
we
you
ain't putting that person in that context at all. We thinking is our ancestors is the devil.
Let me tell you one thing that frightened me, and I keep making this point. You know what make me know I have work to do? I pick up a little 80-year-old girl by Mover Junction. Black girl, dressed all in white. Nice white curls in her hair. And she was with her grandmother. And when they come into the car, I say, you know why I give you a job, darling? You look like a angel. She said, I can't be an angel. I said, you mean you can't be an angel and you're so beautiful? She said, no, because angels are white.
622.
A man on my radio show a day, just this final one, on my radio show a day. And while I'm talking and showing them how they show us the only thing that come from black, that look from heaven that look like us is black. It's Satan. But I already showing them, you know a man called me and say, he says, Shabazz, you know now that I hear you say that I come to a point. I go into a church for over 15 years. And in that church I go into, every time they have a play, then they want somebody to play Satan, they're calling me because I black. That is the life. We have to transform your mind from that.
And we have to remember too that life is electrical. The food they've been giving us, they bring us from Africa, but they didn't bring the food from Africa. So they're feeding you food that killing you. Diabetes, high blood pressure and all. African people don't suffer with them things.
I have all them things.
The food that they've been giving you, the chicken, the children behaving just like the 6 weeks chicken. 6 weeks they kill the chicken, the boy reach 21 or 18, he feel it's time for me to die. He just like the chicken because that he grow up, some of these young people grow up eating that chicken.
Gentlemen,
that's where we had a
this program was very enlightening and we'll continue this journey because it's very important. These are the kind of discourse that we're supposed to have where we can educate each other and make sure that we stand firm on principles going forward. You know, I just want to say before we leave, a man's mind prepares his way, but God directs his steps. So continue to walk good, and I'll be back here tomorrow, God willing. And Ken, we want to thank our guests for coming in, Erin, Folami, and Brother Shabazz.
And I want to tell you, I will come again to help you to stand firm if I need it. But when I come, I want to sit firm next time.
All right. Ken, again, it's always a pleasure working together, brother. And
let me say something. I want every African to go and buy a book called Dalit by Dr. Rajeshra. And it's about the black untouchables in India. I want every African to go and buy it. The ISBN number is -932-863-05-1. When they finish reading, they would cry. They could go on the internet too and pull up ballots and see what they get.
Right, so that's where we got to put it out for today. Damian Melville, the doctor, is coming in next.
Dr. Melville.
And it's Chart Topping Thursday here on 90.1 FM. So tomorrow we'll be back here in the hot seat, 10 a.m. for me, 11 a.m. for Elsworth Father James. Be safe, people. Love you much.